Hello, I'm Dr. Anjana Katwa and I work as the engagement lead for Wessex Museums. Wessex Museums is a partnership of 4 museums in Wiltshire and Dorset. They are Salisbury Museum, Wiltshire Museum, Poole Museum and Dorset Museum. I'm here at Wiltshire Museum in front of this wonderful display all about climate change. And this is a really good way to introduce this exciting project that Wessex Museums are doing with children and young people all across Wiltshire and Dorset. Our project, called Create and Collect, is all about helping children and young people learn about climate change and the impacts it's going to have on our society in the future. In this project, our community curators at all of our museums will be working with you, groups of children and young people, to help you understand the science of climate change. We'll be bringing on board scientists and artists and creative professionals to help you create a response, essentially recording your feelings and thoughts about climate change. Towards the end of the year, we'll bring all of these responses together and they'll form a digital exhibition on the Wessex Museum's website. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, what is climate change? The Earth is 4.5 billion years old. And over that time, climate has constantly been changing and sea levels have been rising and falling. We know this because we can look at fossils in rocks that tell us how life and landscapes have evolved on Earth. What's remarkable is if you were in Dorset 140 million years ago, this whole landscape would have looked like Barbados today. And the rock I'm holding in my hand is a piece of chalk, and inside is a seashell. And this chalk would have been forming at the bottom of these bright, beautiful turquoise seas, and the climate would have been warm and humid. Now, perhaps unfortunately, Dorset isn't like Barbados today. In fact, it's a temperate climate. But that change in climate, that drop in sea level, occurred very naturally over tens, if not hundreds of millions of years. Today, the situation is very different. Scientists are finding that global temperatures are rising at a vastly rapid rate. And there's one reason why that is. It's all down to human activity. In my hand, I'm holding a rock. It's actually a piece of coal. And coal is a rock that's made up of the fossilized organic remains of trees and branches and leaves that grew in vast swamps and lagoons and jungles hundreds of millions of years ago during the Carboniferous period. This is why coal is known as a fossil fuel, because it's literally made of the fossilized remains of organic plant matter. Another example of a fossil fuel is oil, and remarkably, I've got one in my hand just there. It's a drop of North Sea oil. And what's happened here is that the organic matter of those dead plants and branches and leaves has been cooked and pressurized to such a high temperature that it literally has formed oil. Now, when we burn fossil fuels, when we use oil and coal in our industries and manufacturing, what we're doing is we're releasing the carbon that's been locked away for hundreds of millions of years back into the atmosphere. Now, you've probably heard of the greenhouse effect. And what this is that carbon dioxide in the atmosphere traps ultraviolet rays coming in from the sun to warm our Earth. And over time, this is why life has evolved on Earth. But because we're burning fossil fuels and now releasing carbon back into the atmosphere at a much faster rate, this is accelerating the greenhouse effect. What this effectively means is that global temperatures are rising. And this has a profound effect on the major ice masses that cover Earth, like the Greenland ice cap and the West Antarctic and the Antarctic ice sheet. In these scenarios, these gigantic ice masses simply can't survive in higher global temperatures, so they begin to melt. And as they melt, they release vast quantities of fresh meltwater into the ocean circulation systems. And what this does is it not only disrupts the ocean chemistry and those circulation systems, but that can also affect our weather patterns, causing greater and extreme storms, famines across different continents, and of course changes in weather cycles like we're experiencing now with this colder spring. So at Wessex Museums, we're asking you to join our Create and Collect project for climate change. Every child that takes part will get a copy of a book by Dr. Jess French, who's a presenter on CBeebies. Her book, How to Protect a Planet, is a brilliant introduction to the science of climate change. Our objective is to empower you to help your children and young people learn about the science of climate change, but also understand that they can play a pivotal role to creating a positive change for the future. Amazingly, one of the objects that's created by one of the children will be accessioned into the permanent collections of the museum for all to see for the future. We really do hope you want to get involved. If there are any questions, please do contact me. I'd be very happy to talk to you. From all of us at Wessex Museums, thank you so much for watching this video, and hopefully we'll be working together very soon.